Tonight on the Black Channel, we take a look outside of Black society at the illegal alien crisis and the effects it's having on non-Black groups. People are starting to take sides. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent Black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically Black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we've been reporting on these things and watching these things here, and obviously, as the situation is exacerbated and evolves, we are going to be on top of it here. And I want to take this as an opportunity to appraise you all of how the situation is developing. Some people say developing, some other people say deteriorating, but it also dovetails with us here because you see, there are certain folks within our group, as we talk about reparations, as we talk about distinguishing ourselves, as we talk about defining our lineage as the descendants of American slaves, as we discuss that, and put that in very clear, stark contrast, we've warned people about trying to identify themselves among other groups. We've warned Black folk about that kind of thing. And tonight you are going to get a stern reminder of that. There is a story coming out of South Dakota, which really encapsulates everything that I'm talking about here so far tonight. But there is a story coming out of South Dakota. And as you can see the headline there on your screens, a South Dakota tribe banned Governor Kristi Noem from a reservation over her U.S.-Mexico border remarks. Now, I want you all to hear exactly what it was that they said the remarks were and exactly what the problem was that they have with it. And this is going to be serving as a warning and a reminder to some hard-headed individuals, misguided individuals, clout-chasing individuals about why it is we have to be very strict and understand that our Blackness is enough. You don't have to try to bleed yourself over into something else. Our Blackness is enough, and it will be enough because you'll have no choice in the matter. The article here, and as you can see, this is dated just from yesterday. The article is by Trisha Ahmed. A South Dakota tribe has banned Republican Governor Kristi Noem from the Pine Ridge Reservation after she spoke this week about wanting to send razor wire and security personnel to Texas to help deter immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border, and also said cartels are infiltrating the state's reservations. Quote, due to the safety of the Oyate, effective immediately, you are hereby banished from the homelands of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Tribe President Frank Starr comes out, said in a Friday statement addressed to Noem, Oyate is a word for people or nation. Starr comes out, accused Noem of trying to use the border issue to help get former U.S. President Donald Trump reelected and boost her chances of becoming his running mate. Many of those arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border are indigenous people from places like El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico who come, quote, in search of jobs and a better life, the tribal leader added. I want you all to see this on your screens. That's why I'm showing it to you as I'm reading the article on your screen so you can see where the quotation marks are and you can see what this tribal chief here is saying, what his issue is, and how he's characterizing it. Let's go down a little bit here further. Now, take a look at this. I want to put those together here. Many of those arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border are indigenous people from places like El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico who come, quote, in search of jobs and a better life, the tribal leader added, quote, they don't need to be put in cages, separated from their children like during the Trump administration, or be cut up by razor wire furnished by, of all places, South Dakota, he said. Starr Comes Out also addressed Noam's remarks in the speech to lawmakers Wednesday, in which she said a gang calling itself the Ghost Dancers is murdering people on the Pine Ridge Reservation and is affiliated with border-crossing cartels that use South Dakota reservations to spread drugs throughout the Midwest. Starr Comes Out said he took deep offense at that reference, saying the Ghost Dance is one of the Oglala Sioux's most sacred ceremonies, was used with blatant disrespect and is insulting to our Oyate. He added that the tribe is a sovereign nation and does not belong to the state of South Dakota. Now, that's very interesting. If his tribe is sovereign and doesn't belong to South Dakota, then why is he speaking out about the Texas border? You seem to be contradicting yourself the moment you open your mouth, sir. Why, if you want to sit up here and say that you're a sovereign nation separate from South Dakota, then you're certainly sovereign and separate from the state of Texas. And yet, here you are being an advocate for illegal aliens in Texas, and yet you claim you're a sovereign state nation that's not even a part of South Dakota. Noam responded Saturday in a statement saying, quote, it's unfortunate that President Starr Comes Out chose to bring politics into a discussion regarding the effects of our federal government's failure to enforce federal laws at the southern border and on tribal lands. My focus continues to be on working together to solve those problems. And this is Mr. Starr Comes Out. As I told bipartisan Native American legislators earlier this week, I am not the one with a stiff arm here. You can't build relationships if you don't spend time together, she added. I stand ready to work with any of our state's Native American tribes to build such a relationship. In November, Starr Comes Out declared a state of emergency on the Pine Ridge Reservation due to increasing crime. Well, that's interesting. Mr. Starr Comes Out. He wants an open border. He's saying that those are just indigenous people. She's calling attention to the fact that, by the way, there's crime happening there. Back in November, there was an issue. The very next year, ain't no problems. In November, Starr Comes Out declared a state of emergency on the Pine Ridge Reservation due to increasing crime. A judge ruled last year that the federal government has a treaty duty to support law enforcement on the reservation, but he declined to rule on the funding level the tribe sought. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. What happened to we're a sovereign nation that doesn't belong to the state of South Dakota? What happened to that? Because back in November, y'all were asking for money and still are. A judge ruled that the federal government has a treaty duty to support law enforcement on the reservation? Excuse me. Separate nation? Noam has deployed National Guard troops to the Mexico border 3 times, as have some other Republican governors. In 2021, she drew criticism for accepting $1 million donation from a Republican donor to help cover the cost of a 2-month deployment of 48 troops there. That's the conclusion of that story. Couldn't help but notice, though, that the sovereign nation up there is looking for the government, the white government, of which they are not a part of that nation, to subsidize them ongoing. Couldn't help but notice that. That looked frighteningly familiar to me in that regard. Couldn't help but notice it. While they're telling us what we don't need. Remember this now. While they're telling you that everybody else ain't getting nothing, while they keep, every time we turn around, Jewish people just got more stuff from the Holocaust. Native Americans here, by the way, hey, we need y'all to pony up some more. Right here, all these other folks who have whole separate enclaves Aren't they supposed to be self-supporting by now? Because they're very quick to tell you, oh, we're a separate nation. We're a sovereign nation. You're not a sovereign nation if you're coming back to the American federal government saying, by the way, can you break us off a few more chips over here? That's not a sovereign nation, Mr. Starr comes out. That's not a sovereign nation, sir. And certainly not one if you're trying to tell them what to do with their southern border. That's not a sovereign nation, sir. You supposed to be worrying about your people on that reservation and that crime issue being exacerbated by the indigenous people that you bringing up. You want to welcome up from the southern border, by the way. But of course, he doesn't have to be smart. There's the whole thing right there. I want you to understand you don't have to be smart when you're sitting up here getting handouts from the government. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to be competent. He's going to sit there and screw it all off. And then on the low, sit up here and, by the way, hey, we need some more money. He declares a state of emergency. What the hell does a judge have to do with that? What does a judge have to do with that? You know what it has to do with that. Everybody plays the same damn game with us. Everyone has the same damn game. And yet they are not characterizing it that way. Not at all. Now, what I want to do here is I want to also go into the other thing they were just talking about there, because this goes back to May 26th of last year. I want to give you some more information about that, because this is filling in the fine details. The 720 degrees of analysis that you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Well, I was just telling about what that judge said. Why don't we go into some details here? Now, this is from May of last year. U.S. has treaty duty to fund policing on Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, judge rules. Well, wait a minute. How does that work? Listen and you'll find out. By Steve Karnowski. A federal judge has ruled that the U.S. government has a treaty obligation to support law enforcement on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, but declined for now to determine whether the Oglala Sioux Nation is entitled to as much funding as it is seeking. Tribal leaders depicted the ruling as a victory, saying the important point is that the court confirmed that the federal government has a duty to fund policing. They say the federal government. Don't you mean the American government? Because you're a sovereign nation, are you not? If you're a sovereign nation, then what you talking about the federal government? You can't be a sovereign nation and yet you're a ward of another nation. That's the opposite of sovereign. Tribal leaders depicted the ruling as a victory, saying the important point is that the court confirmed that the federal government has a duty to fund policing on the reservation and ordered U.S. officials to meet the Oglala Sioux leaders, quote, to work together promptly to figure out how to more fairly fund tribal law enforcement. The outcome of the case could affect other reservations, including where Native women are killed at a rate more than 10 times the national average. What? The Northern Cheyenne tribe in Montana has filed a similar suit. By the way, do you see this? The outcome of the case could affect other reservations. So everybody else is lined up while they're telling you and me what they don't have for the descendants of the slaves, by the way. And everybody else, quiet as kept, is sitting up here circling back around to get more funding. Notice they didn't come. Listen for me, people. They didn't come asking for education. They didn't come asking for scholarships. They didn't come asking for books. They came asking for money to specifically fund what they're trying to do. They're already getting checks. Now they want money to fund law enforcement. So much for being on code. Oglala Sioux officials contend the tribe is entitled to federal funding for 120 fully equipped officers for the sprawling Pine Ridge Reservation, something the federal government has disputed. Quote, this court concludes that the United States has a treaty duty unique to the tribe to provide protection and law enforcement cooperation and support on the reservation. However, the tribe has not shown at this stage that a duty extends to entitle the tribe to the level of funding or support that it sought, U.S. District Judge Roberto Lang said in an order filed Tuesday. The tribe sued the Bureau of Indian Affairs and some high-level officials last July. The court held a 2-day hearing in February. The government denied having any such obligation and asked the judge to dismiss the lawsuit. Lang directed the Bureau of Indian Affairs to help the tribe refine its funding requests, quote, as soon as practicable, to reflect its treaty obligations. He also told the federal government to reevaluate its census-based population estimates for the reservation of 19,800 to 32,000, which are lower than the tribe's figure of 40,000. The judge said the federal estimates likely represent an undercount. Well, now isn't that interesting? So they want this sovereign nation is a part of the census and gets benefits and resources because of the census. Interesting sovereign nation you got there. And furthermore, simply based on their word, they say, hey, there's 40,000 of us. And the judge says to the U.S. government, hey, you need to go back and go recheck that count because they say that you're undercounting them. So you need to go back and check that count. Y'all need to go back and check that count for them. These are conversations that when we show up, boy, everyone, isn't this radically different from the response that we get? Isn't this radically different from that? By the way, this is a whole lot different from what we've heard before, isn't it? Whole lot different from that. I'm going to go a little bit further into this because I don't want to go on too far. As a matter of fact, no, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to go to another story that is linked from that one. This is from February 2023. Talking about when the tribe sued the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I want you all to understand exactly how long this has been going on and exactly what they're saying here. While they got time to stomp for illegal aliens, by the way. It says here that these types of crimes have become increasingly common on the 5,400 square mile, 14,000 square kilometer reservation. Only 33 officers and 8 criminal investigators are responsible for over 100,000 emergency calls each year across the reservation, which is about the size of the state of Connecticut, tribal officials said. The officers and investigators are all federally funded. And the tribe says it's just not enough. The tribe sued the Bureau of Indian Affairs and some high-level officials in July, alleging the U.S. is not complying with its treaty obligations nor its trust responsibility by failing to provide adequate law enforcement to address the, quote, public safety crisis on the reservation. The federal government countered in court documents that the tribe can't prove treaties forced the U.S. to provide the tribe with its, quote, preferred level of staffing or funding of law enforcement. After 2 days of court proceedings this week, a judge said he would take the case under advisement. So in other words, the treaties don't say that, but they're claiming, well, you give it to us anyway. Quote, we need change. It sounds like black folk outside the Superdome in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. We need help. Everybody's tired of the same old talk. It's all talk, talk, talk every year after year, and our people have suffered for decades. Oglala Sioux tribe president Frank Starr comes out, told the Associated Press, we believe now is the time to take that stand. Interesting, very interesting here, sir. Sir, are you familiar with the phrase, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps? Damn. Sir, are you familiar with the phrase, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps? This sovereign nation sure is running to the white nation every time we turn around, but nobody's giving them the pull yourself up by your bootstraps conversation. Don't worry, folks, it gets worse. The federal government has a trust duty to indigenous nations and has made promises to tribes under treaty agreements, which should be read liberally and in favor of Native American tribes, explained Robert Miller, law professor at Arizona State University and an enrolled citizen of the Eastern Shawnee tribe in Oklahoma. So if you want to know where this sentence on your screen came from, where it says the federal government has a trust duty to indigenous nations and has made promises to tribes under treaty agreements, which should be read liberally and in favor of Native American tribes. Now, the Associated Press says that as if that's a fact. The Associated Press says that sentence as if it's a fact, and then right after that comma, explain Robert Miller, a citizen of the Eastern Shawnee tribe in Oklahoma. Hardly an impartial arbiter. Quote, if federal law enforcement is woefully weak, which it is on most reservations, it's not carrying out its duty as the trustee, as the guardian of Indian nations. Trustee and guardian? Excuse me, Mr. Starr comes out, said that the tribe is a sovereign nation that doesn't belong to the state of South Dakota. You can't belong to the federal government and not the state of South Dakota. So what they're saying is we want to be Native American and we say so. Hey, we want to be $5 white and say, if we're $5 white and we say so. So we want to be sovereign when it suits us, and we want to be the wards of the U.S. government when it suits us. Indigenous nations have increasingly advocated for treaty rights, including hunting, fishing, and education, in the courtroom with some success. In 2020, you mean during the pandemic, the U.S. Supreme Court made its landmark McGirt decision, ruling that a large portion of eastern Oklahoma promised in treaties to the Muskogee Nation would remain a reservation. In court documents in this case, the Oglala Sioux tribe points to treaties such as the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, which states that if someone commits a crime against Native Americans, the U.S. will, quote, proceed at once to cause the offender to be arrested and punished according to the laws of the United States and also reimburse the injured person for the loss sustained. Now, what does that mean? An American citizen or Native Americans on Native American crime? What are you referring to there? Starr comes out, remember this guy, said he hopes Oglala Sioux lawsuits, which was filed just days after the Northern Cheyenne tribe in Montana filed a similar one, will help serve as an example for other tribes in the Great Plains and beyond who are facing similar situations. The South Dakota Reservation, about 80 miles southeast of Rapid City, is located between the Nebraska border and the Bakken oil fields. The location has made it convenient for both human and drug trafficking, explained Patricia Marks, an attorney with the tribe, while its lack of police has meant it's known as a, quote, lawless era. Well, he's the one, Mr. Starr comes out, Chief Starr comes out, is the one advocating for an open border down there. So very clearly, the drug trafficking and human trafficking ain't bothering him none. He's like, hey, look here, bring on more traffickers. Quote, we've had a radical increase in gun violence, she said. We've had a radical increase in hard narcotics. It is heroin, it's fentanyl, it's meth. It is things that are life-threatening. He couldn't be bothered less. Between January and June of 2022, tribal law enforcement received 285 reports of missing persons, 308 gun-related calls, and 49 reports of rape. Oglala Sioux officials said there are there's only 40,000 of them. That's the other thing is, by the way, there's only 40,000. How many of y'all are to have these kind of numbers? All right. There are typically only 5 tribal officers on any given shift, and response time for weapon-related calls can be anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. I'm remembering the movie RoboCop. You better just bring your own ordnance. You better just bring your own steel. You talking about calling the police? We'll be here after this episode of 24 goes off. 40 minutes to an hour. In other words, whatever gonna happen to you is gonna happen to you. We're just gonna come pick up the pieces no matter how many there are. In 2020, there were 155 more violent crimes reported by the Oglala Sioux tribal law enforcement compared in 2017, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Criminal jurisdiction in Indian country is complicated and depends on whether the suspect, victim, or both are Native American and where the crime occurs. The federal government, tribes, and counties have tried to bolster public safety on reservations, where in some locations, Native women are killed at a rate more than 10 times the national average, with approaches that include cross-commissioning agreements, expanding sentencing authority for tribes, and programs that allow tribal prosecutors to try cases in federal court. Now, here's the next part I want to get to here. The landmark Tribal Law and Order Act of 2010. By the way, who was president in 2010? Oh yeah, one more question. The landmark Tribal Law and Order Act of 2010. By the way, who was president of the United States back in 2010? His name slips my mind for just a moment. I know his daddy was from Kenya, I think it was, and his mama was from Oklahoma or Nebraska, or something like that. Something like that. I can't quite remember who it was, but let's see what this president in 2010 did with this Tribal Law and Order Act of 2010. The Justice Department has also worked to increase funding given to tribes to address crime, including last year when officials announced it would award over $246 million in grants. Cash payments, cash payments, cash payments, cash payments to Native communities to improve public safety and help crime victims. In other words, they came down here to Chief Running Star and said, cut the check. They came down here to Chief Star Comes Out, Star Comes Clout, and said, he told them, cut the check. And wasn't nobody sitting up here arguing him all damn crazy. I'm talking about hundreds of millions. And they cut the check. But the tribe says none of this has been enough. What? No, I'm serious, folks. They're saying none of that is enough. Still saying that that's not enough while he's campaigning and advocating for illegals to come across the border. I guess he's trying to get some of that human trafficking money. On the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, the FBI has jurisdiction over a set of major crimes, but its closest office is in Rapid City, so it can take more than 2 hours for agents to arrive, explained Marks. For all practical purposes, it is the tribal police who are the first responders regardless of the type of crime, she said. They're the ones that have to get out there and answer the call. The tribe would need over 140 more police officers on the reservation to fight the rampant crime, according to court documents. How much of that money you think this fella right here gonna be skimming off? How much you think he gonna be skimming off? By the way, Joanna Sierra, 79, a member of the Oglala Sioux tribe, said 2 of her sons and 2 of her grandsons were killed on or near the reservation. The most recent case involved her grandson, Justin Littlehawk, 40, who in November 2020 was ambushed by a man he did not recognize while driving 2 of Sierra's teenage grandchildren, she said. That doesn't sound quite right, but okay. The man got in the backseat of Sierra's car and shot Littlehawk after the other grandchildren ran out. He died shortly before Christmas, and the person responsible was never convicted, Sierra said. Never convicted, so he was arrested? It just makes... So he was arrested but never convicted? He was never convicted. So he was arrested but not convicted. Very interesting. Oh, so that means you already got the details. Quote, it just makes me feel like I'm lost. Why does this have to happen, Sierra asked. Why didn't I move? Since the death of Logan, who is given the Lakota name Petazee Hoxilla, meaning Yellow Fire Boy, Wilson has plastered the reservation with signs that say things like justice for Logan and who killed grandma's baby in hopes of bringing attention to his death. So these folks are sitting here telling you that, by the way, that $246 million y'all was throwing around and everything else we getting there, that's not enough. We need more. We need more. And he's sitting here saying, by the way, y'all need to be quiet. The sovereign Sioux Nation is speaking out on behalf of illegal aliens because, well, those are indigenous peoples from south of the border. Those are indigenous people. So here you've got your Native Americans saying we're here for the illegals. So they're on one side of things. And meanwhile, over there in white society, far left, this from the New York Post, far left comic Michael Rapaport slams, quote, cadaver Biden, says voting for Trump, quote, on the table after migrants beat cops in New York City. Now, I covered that story last night here on the Black Channel. I covered that in detail. So if you missed last night's program, you want to go ahead and watch that, you can get caught up. But long story short, a group of illegals jumped on a couple of cops in Times Square. It's made the news all over the place up there in New York. I told you all, it's made all the rounds. And Michael Rapaport, who never gets tired of weighing in on things, he wanted to weigh in on this. Comedian and staunch critic of former President Trump, Michael Rapaport, unleashed a scathing rant against New York City's immigration problems and President Biden's priorities this week, suggesting that if Biden doesn't deal with the problems here at home, voting for Trump is, quote, on the table. Folks, since you all met me, I've told you over a decade ago, I had to get you to update your files. I had to get you all straight on this. When I tell you, black folk, don't be the world's biggest dummy. Don't be the world's biggest idiot by falling for the trap of accepting these labels. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, right-winger, left-winger. Those terms were not made by you and they are not for you. These are terms for white society. They put on these terms and take these terms off like putting on or taking off a jacket. Michael Bloomberg, Arlen Specter, the list goes on. They are white. When they say the word Democrat or Republican, it doesn't mean the same thing as when you say it. When they say liberal or conservative, it doesn't mean the same thing as when you say it. There are nuanced differences between these things for these folk. Nuanced differences. And it doesn't mean the same thing for them that it does for you. If you all agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me the green check mark emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button. It's over 4,700 people in here live in just the first 32 minutes, but only 1,800 likes. Some folks must not like what I'm saying here tonight. I must be offending them. But Michael Rapaport, who's had so much to say before now and wanted to weigh in on so much before now he's coming out and telling you that, by the way, why, harsh Trump critic? Well, only if it suits him. Why, he can overlook that for an incident in a week. In other words, it ain't that damn serious. That's the point I'm making to you. In other words, it ain't that damn serious. These folks are playing you for a fool. If you're sitting up here taking it life and death serious, and this guy is sitting up here telling you that, by the way, after one incident in 1 week, he can throw Biden overboard and say, you know what? Trump is on the damn table. You are sitting up here acting like the slaves on the plantation. You are taking the master's house on fire more seriously than he is. You're fighting harder for it more than he is. You ready to go to the wall and put your life on the line more than he is. And he's not going to do it at all. He wants you to take it this seriously. He's not taking it that seriously. And Michael Rapaport is showing you just that quickly there, whatever animosity he claims he had with Trump, just that quickly, he's got a whole lot more in common with Trump now, don't he? Got a whole lot more in common with Trump now, doesn't he? And all it took was one incident to go ahead and reveal that. That was all it took. Rapaport shared a video on X, Twitter, Friday, railing against the recent news story about migrants in New York City beating up cops and then being released shortly after the altercation. Furious at the idea that the Biden administration has been tougher on foreign issues than domestic issues like a record migrant surge, Rapaport opened the clip by slamming his fist on the table and declaring, quote, "This is why when I say voting for pig Donald Trump is on the table, voting for pig Donald Trump is on the table." He explained, the other day in New York City, 6 illegal aliens, he didn't call them migrants, he called them illegals, jumped a New York City cop. NYPD's finest. They jumped a New York City cop in Times Square and were arrested and released without bail. The incident happened this week and was captured on surveillance footage. It showed two cops wrestling with and getting kicked by multiple migrants. As Rapaport noted, several of the men arrested for the incident were released without bail, and 4 of them are believed to have used fake names to obtain travel vouchers and flee the city for California. Take a look at his tweet. Is New York City the greatest city in the world? No, maybe not. Another reason why voting, I guess that's his nickname for Donald Trump 2024, is on the table. So he's standing proud on that one there. All right. Rapaport appeared furious with the news and commented on recent footage showing one of the migrants flipping off a news camera while leaving a New York City courtroom. Quote, released without bail, came out of the courtroom on some Tupac. Interesting, Michael. We ain't got nothing to do with this. And yet, take a look at where he goes. He doesn't say on some Eminem. He doesn't say on some Limp Bizkit. He doesn't say on some Kid Rock. He doesn't say on some Katy Perry. He doesn't say anything like that. Now, he doesn't say on some Miley Cyrus. Now, ain't that interesting? Every time these folk come up, they sit up here and try to shoehorn us into the discussion where we have absolutely nothing to do with it. But okay. Oh, we heard that. Released without bail, came out of the courtroom on some Tupac, raising the middle finger with the Detroit Red Wings jersey. Let me tell you something. What the F is the world coming to if you could be from another country, beat up a cop in New York City, and walk out with no effing bail? What the F is the world coming to? Ripping into the current president, he continued, on the same day that happens, cadaver Joe Biden issues an executive order about 4 settlers in Judea, Samaria, aka the West Bank. Some troublemakers. 3 of the 4 have already been arrested. This is Michael Rapaport now, letting you know where he stands on this. By the way, he would go straight to making this about the Middle East. Says that he ripped Biden for fixating on that issue when there's, quote, a war going on in the region and while there's 100+ hostages still being held in Gaza. You're talking about that, but you got nothing to say about Mother F beating up cops in New York City, the greatest city on earth. Towards the end of the tirade, Rapaport stated, maybe my city is not the greatest city on earth anymore if you could beat up cops. If you could beat up cops in the greatest city in the world and be released without bail. Are we the greatest city on earth? Cadaver Joe Biden, we see you. We effing see you. Rapaport previously threatened to vote for Trump last fall, warning he would do so if anti-Semitism isn't brought under control in America. Yeah, the illegal aliens have got these folks divided. On the one side, they're in favor. On the other side, they're against. And then trying to drag us in the middle. We ain't got nothing to do with that. We're promoting our own agenda. We're seeing about what we doing. And out of nowhere, you just start shooting strays for things that have nothing to do with us. Nothing to do. And every time we turn around, somebody's trying to shoehorn us into that. No, this is not us. You got an issue with Biden, you take that up. You upset over Israel with Biden, you take that up with him. Don't bring us into it. Don't try to drag us off in it. Not at all. Not at all. If you were sitting up here supporting Biden, knowing that this was going to happen, and now all of a sudden Michael Rapaport's against it, it's not anything you didn't know was coming. He's not doing anything you didn't know was coming. There's nothing here surprising. So what I'm showing you all here is that these folks play you for fools in that regard. If you think they take it that damn seriously, 1 minute they're Republican, the next second they're Democrat. 1 minute they're so-called liberal, the next they're the most Republican thing you ever met. Even as I covered last night, Governor Hochul of New York. 1 minute she's the most liberal thing, whatever in the world that means. When it comes to illegals, the very next minute, round them all up and send them home. Well, ma'am, if everybody is on your damn side about that, and if that's what you truly, if what you've been saying all this time is what you truly felt, how the hell are you flipping on the switch and talking about round them up and send them home? Very clearly, you know that there is not widespread support for that. There isn't. You doing it for some other reason. And Michael Rapaport, that includes you. These folks up there in New York City, they want their illegal alien nannies. They want their illegal alien housekeepers. They want their illegal alien labor. And of course, what you do sexually with the illegal alien females. Don't have to worry about her yelling "me too." So we see what y'all do. You think that's a game. You think that's a joke. You think it's all fun and games till they're able to get their hands on you. Then all of a sudden, no, we got to pull back on that. We got to pull back on that. So the illegals got them in fits, y'all. The illegals got them up there in fits. They don't know which way to go. They're trying to institute the rules. They're trying to stay on code, but it's hard right now. It's hard right now. It's real difficult. On the one hand, you got the Native Americans talking about bring them over. On the other hand, you got the white folk, lock them out. And you got us nowhere in it. So these other folks are getting divided over this thing. They are divided over it. Don't bring us up into it. We got nothing to do with that. I'm just getting started on tonight's program. People, do not misunderstand. I am just getting started on tonight's program. When we come back here, we're going to take it even further here because there's a couple of other politicians I want to catch you up on. Nikki Haley, as well as the Grammys. Wow, there's some new developments with the Grammys that actually do involve us, believe it or not. There's some new developments. I know you think it's Grammy something new. Oh, yeah, don't worry, folks. The cultural march against us goes on. Details coming up here shortly. But before that, we're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Before I do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Big shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg. Thank you very much for your support for tonight's program here. We appreciate that. To my man Chadwick, Mr. Richardson, Joseph Walter, and everyone else who has contributed to support tonight's program. Thank you very much. I appreciate that for all of you here. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When I come back, we just getting smoking. This is the Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Steve Burgess, and I'm the author of this book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-aged child. In this book, I've explained the role of the parent and the student in addition to what accommodations, procedures, rewards and consequences and expectations that need to be in place to ensure student success from primary to high school. This book is available on Amazon.com. For more information, please visit my link tree at Easy One-on-One and to access my latest podcast, A Teaching Moment with Mr. B. Thank you all for listening.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spiritOf1811publishing.com and show your love.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' natural body butter with skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And we've been discussing how the illegals are dividing non-Black society here. But while we're discussing that, I want to touch on a couple of other things here as well. Let's go ahead and talk about within Black society here in particular, but kind of on the peripheral of it here, because I think it's kind of important. Nikki Haley did the cold opening for Saturday Night Live. And this was part of the skit that happened. And this is one of the Saturday Night Live alumni here. This is part of the skit that happened. I think she's an interesting figure for you to go ahead and take a look into also. I wanted you all to hear exactly how that went. So it's basically, they were doing a skit where it's a Republican town hall and Nikki Haley is hosting it. So it was a real short skit that they did. So it was a skit of Nikki Haley answering questions at a Republican town hall. And hear how this part went.
I was just curious, what would you say was the main cause of the Civil War? And do you think it starts with an S and ends with a lavery?
Yep, I probably should have said that the first time. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Oh boy. Well, of course, Laura Loomer and other white supremacists are not happy with Nikki Haley. She said it was a gaffe, but then again, she didn't say it's wrong. So Nikki Haley is out there realizing that, oh boy, her presidential aspirations went up in flames, went up in smoke. Let me tell you here, folks, you know you're in trouble when you've gone from being an insult to being a punchline. Not good. What happened to you has gone from being an insult to being a punchline.
I was just curious, what would you say was the main cause of the Civil War? And do you think it starts with an S and ends with a lavery?
Yep, I probably should have said that the first time. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
By the way, one more thing.
And do you think it starts with an S and ends with a...
Ooh, boy, them eyes, y'all. The eyes. All right. All right, it's comedy, though. And I'm just saying, oh, baby, you got a bright future in Hollywood. Being able to bust them eyes open like that, you got a bright future in Hollywood. Believe me, you have a bright future in Hollywood ahead of you. Trust me, you're going to be at the head of the Saturday Night Live alumni. Based on what I'm seeing here. By the way, she'll be interesting enough for you to take a look into. But there's one more thing I want to touch on here. Dovetailing off of that, as we're bringing the subject matter back around to us. The issues that don't have anything to do with us, and the issues where folks keep trying to bring us into things. In case you didn't know about this article, well, the Best African Music Performance Grammy is new. Its global appeal is not. Wait a minute now, wait a minute. By Chinedu Azadu, Carlos Murithi, and Mogamatsi Magomi. Dateline, Abuja, Nigeria. From an electrifying and colorful music performance at the FIFA World Cup to a new Grammy Awards category. African music genres and talents are reaching audiences and dance floors across the globe in a breakthrough for an industry that has long endured structural challenges. Industry, all right. A new Grammy, Best African Music Performance, will be awarded Sunday. Oh, that's today. highlighting regional musical traditions and recognizing, quote, recordings that utilize unique local expressions from across the African continent. Brothers and sisters, so they're using the Grammys to tell the Africans that you need to discard tribalism. And what I'm going to tell you all right now is that this may actually be the first thing that works. Africans have held on to tribalism and this, that, and the other all this time, but now that the white establishment is telling them put that tribalism to the side so you can get a Grammy, guess what? This could actually work. They'll actually do what these folks tell them. So if these folks tell them put that tribalism to the side to get a Grammy, then these folks here are liable to just go ahead and go for it. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Now that them folks done told them, that tribalism, put that to the side. They've been telling you, so we're going to beef forever. The white folks said, put that to the side. We love your brothers over there. Igbo, Yoruba, we love you all. Man, they about to be hands across Africa. Forget hands across America. They about to be hands across Africa. Quote, for a musician, the Grammy is a worldwide nod for your accomplishment and hard work. That we hear you and we see you on the world stage, says Lyric, a Nigerian producer and force behind Burna Boy's. Oh, man. Behind Burna Boy's Grammy-winning Twice as Tall. From Afrobeats to Amapiano, Sub-Saharan Africa was the fastest growing region for recorded music revenues in 2022, according to the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry's Global Music Report 2023. So if you all didn't think that they are literally over there counting who's buying music in Sub-Saharan Africa, I've always told y'all they keep up with their numbers. They catalog everything. They count everyone. They monitor everyone. Capitalism needs to be able to monitor people, and the data needs to be as specific as it can be. You can't keep people properly enslaved on false data. You got to have accurate data. You in Sub-Saharan Africa, if you're buying an MP3, they want to know about it. At the center of that growth are newer genres of Afrobeats, the renowned blend of distinct West African music styles. What? And Amapiano, which, now listen to this, Amapiano, which fuses South African Kwaito with African jazz, house music, and soulful vocals. What? 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 African jazz? Excuse me? African jazz. Is there such an animal? Lie. African jazz. Music and soulful vocals. Moving right along. There is also Afrobeat, different from Afro beats. This is a terrible decision. This is not a bad decision right there. That is an awful decision. This is going to cause nothing but confusion. Instead of just choosing a totally different name, there is also Afrobeat, different from Afro beats, a blend of jazz, funk. What? People, this just gets more insulting by the minute. First there was Afro beats, a knockoff of everything we do. Then there is also Afro beat, which is a worse bastardization. I thought y'all had something original, unique. You claim that there's something. Why don't you pull from your traditional culture and just leave it be? If it's that fly, you should be able to pull from that. We pulling from ours all the way back. All the way back. Every time we turn around, when you claim there's something original coming, it's, no, we just stealing from yours. We just biting off of y'all. We're just going to lift off of you like everybody else does. Don't worry, they won't say any of this on Twitter. If they bring it up, we're going to try to minimize it. What the hell? There is also Afrobeat, different from Afrobeats, a blend of jazz, funk, and traditional West African rhythms popularized by Nigerian musical icon and political agitator Fela Kuti in the 1970s, stolen from us. Then there's Afro pop, a rich variety of contemporary, a variety of styles. In other words, everything y'all doing is a knockoff. Everything you're doing is a knockoff. When you say it's a blend, a knockoff, a blend, a knockoff, another blend, another knockoff, another variety, more knockoff. In other words, you taking what we built and just putting a slight spin on it. You're putting a little lemon twist on it, and away you go. You know why? Because let's just keep it all the way funky. Y'all listen to your traditional music and you said, I cannot get jiggy with this. I cannot do this. You tried to sit up here and change the world with your traditional music. It wasn't popping. It just wasn't coming. It wasn't coming, and it's not on its way. And that's just it. When we sat down and did rap music, we were sampling from our music going back decades. All the way back to the beginning of recorded music. All the way back to the super icons, Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington. We could go all the way back for hours. Y'all sat down, talked to the tribal elders for about 3 minutes and said, oh, none of this is going to make it. There ain't nothing that he's beating on that drum over there that's going to make the top 1,000 of anything. Just tell him stop. Just tell him quit. Ain't going to make it. So what you do is you grab what we got, you take it, you completely drown your stuff. The stuff you talking about, traditional West African rhythms. What does that mean? West African rhythms. What the hell does that even mean? When they got that from us too. The stuff you're actually trying to sell, you took ours, you drowned what you got, so that you got a little bit of yours and a whole bunch of ours, and trying to say, well, it's something new. No, it is not. It's the same thing everybody does. A blatant ripoff of us. Here, let's give it a Grammy category, because the Grammys, that's what I'm bringing you all to, the Grammys are meant to legitimize this. That's the whole point. This is meant to legitimize it. This is meant to bypass us, because you see, you can't get us to legitimize this. We're never going to legitimize it. So the Grammys is stepping in and saying, okay, we'll grab some black faces from the other side of the world. We'll see if we can get some immigrant beat together, and then we'll legitimize them. Cross your fingers and pray for the best. We need something to replace what the foundation is built. So cross your fingers and hope for the best. The traditional soukous dance music of the Congo and other parts of Central Africa. Let me know when that's coming to a dance floor near you. The rhythmical, whoever wrote this article needs to stop. And heavily vocal shaba and chabi, might as well call it sloppy, heard on the streets of North Africa. Kenya Benga and Tanzania's Bongo Flava. Where did I leave it? Okay, I'm not gonna make it. Where did I leave it? It's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, folks, I'm not gonna make it. Oh, took me a minute. Oh, to find the Pepto. Took me just a moment to find. Oh, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I had to drag that out. Y'all thought I was good to go. Boy, I'm telling the Prilosec's been working for a while, but I'm not going to make it past that one. Bongo, please hold one moment. A tablespoon ain't gonna hold me. Oh no, I got to drag the Pepto bottle. I got to drag that like a fifth. No, that little old tablespoon ain't gonna hold me. Not not after I read this. Not after I read this, boys. As soon as I read that, my ulcer started acting up. The second I made it through everything else pretty good. Now so bongo flavor. Man, who in the hell is the West African Karen who wrote this? I'm not gonna make it, folks. Just bottom line, I can't make it through this. So, oh no, I got to drag this. No way I'm gonna make it. Kenya's banga and Tanzania's bongo flavor reverberate across dance floors in East Africa, just as Fuji and High Life do in West Africa. Fuji. All right, I guess they're going to say Fuji is an African word. They ripping off anything they can, starting with us. Streaming platforms are helping push the genre, I bet you are, across borders and continents. I bet they are. On Spotify alone, Afrobeat streaming has grown by more than 500% since 2017, according to the platform. Nigerian artist Rima's Calm Down, featuring Selena Gomez, is not calming down. The 2022 track became the first led by an African artist to hit 1 billion Spotify streams and has the record for the most weeks, 64, spent on Billboard's pop airplay chart. Okay. One key factor in how Calm Down and other such Afrobeat songs have grown lies in how they mirror our music, daily lives through a mix of pidgin and local languages, melodies, drum patterns, heavy rhythms, and poetic style, says Joey Akan, founder of Afrobeats Intelligence newsletter. Quote, and so now we're having people dancing and screaming things like, I need Igbo and Shayo. That is, I need marijuana and alcohol. Did you get that? So now we're having people dancing and screaming things like, I need Igbo and Shayo. That is, I need marijuana and alcohol, Akan says, referring to the chorus of Burna Boy's 2022 hit Last Last. That's what it is. I need marijuana and alcohol because I'm having a heartbreak. And this is the reason why we want to distinguish ourselves. Because you can't fight a revolution if you drugged up. So they've already co-opted them. This is why these are the folks they want to promote, because they can already see, oh, you already bought off and poisoned. You're no threat. That's the whole point. You ain't no threat. You talking about I need weed and alcohol. Oh, you're no damn threat. Weed, alcohol, and white women. He's no threat. He's no threat. And this is what we see every time we go ahead and check. Okay, who in the hell is putting out this drill rap and who's saying this old crazy drug stuff? And then you go check the pedigree. It's like, oh, wait a minute, where are your people from? Okay, there it goes. Now they're sitting up here saying, okay, let's just go ahead and get one great big boat and bring them on over here. That's all. And by the way, you're just a weak, pathetic imitation of what you think you've seen us doing. You're not even a fly imitation of it. That's the worst part. South African sensation, really, Tyler's Water, cemented the ascendance of M-Piano, making the artist the highest charting African female solo act of all time after peaking at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. Okay, the highest charting African female solo act. I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate it, but I'm like, okay, that's kind of like being the nicest guy in prison. I mean, it's not a very high bar to clear. Can we just be honest here? The highest charting African female. I mean, a chick selling Mary Kay could probably sell more albums here. I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate anything. It's not an exceptionally high bar to clear. That's all I'm saying. And some tracks meld the genres under the African music umbrella. African music umbrella? Why don't you go get the Africans to agree that there's an African music umbrella? Who declared this all of a sudden, folks? Because we've been hearing forever. They're always sitting up here going at each other, dissing each other, separating from each other, distinguishing from each other. I'm from this side over here. I ain't from East Africa. I'm from West Africa. And even if I'm from West Africa, I ain't from your tribe. Now all of a sudden there's an African umbrella? Why haven't these folks spent the better part of the last 50 years checking you and me if we ever sit up here and say that Africa's just one place? They've always tried to check us and say Africa's not just one place. There's 40 nations. Africa is a bunch of nations, dozens of nations on one continent. It's dozens of nations. The white folks showed up. All it took to buy them niggas off was a Grammy. We are under the African umbrella. Selena Gomez is here. We are welcome to the African umbrella, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. Past the Igbo and the Shayo, brothers and sisters. There's an African umbrella now. Yeah, now is one big Negro over there now. Now all of a sudden, what we've been saying for over a century, now they can start saying it because some white folks pulled up and told them, okay, nigga, you got my permission to say it. Now you can say it. Up until now, they've been fighting you and disputing you on every turn. Now they can say it. And they're not arguing with these white folk, by the way. Just understand something. When the white folks sit down and talk to them and say the African music umbrella and, oh, it's one big continent, watch Akon. Just watch Akon and some of the Akon and Burna Boy and them. They ain't gonna be checking nothing. Well, you know, Africa is one big place. It is one big place. Now, when we've been saying it for a century, and the only person who could get with it was Marcus Garvey, the only place he could get it going was over here with us, because nobody else has been listening to it anywhere from the Caribbean to the Congo. Nobody was listening to that. Now, all of a sudden, the white folk who said, here's a Grammy, we need Africa to be one place, and watch them, they're gonna fall in line. Watch them. They are going to fall in line. They will no longer make any distinction between where they came from. They're about to fall in line. Quote, if you listen to the song Unavailable by Davido from Nigeria and Musa Keys from South Africa, which has been nominated for a Grammy, it is possibly an example of a perfect Afrobeats and Amapiano cross-border collaboration, said South African club and radio DJ Nafi Dread. Did you get that? You listen to Davido from Nigeria and Musa Keys from South Africa. Everything goes great. We've been saying that for the longest. They told us, get out of here, you Akada. You don't run anything from here. We run these. Now, all of a sudden, we're all one big country. Africa's now one big continent. Boy, that moved quick. In the last year, soccer's biggest stages have featured African stars, from Burna Boy, who thrilled Istanbul's Ataturk Olympic Stadium during the UEFA Champions League final, to Rima, who entertained the world's greatest players at FIFA's Ballon d'Or event, to Davido, who was on the official FIFA World Cup soundtrack. Quote, a lot of the music we love today that's outside of Africa. Oh, here you go with your lying. I want y'all to understand, the Associated Press, if you folks thought they were done with this, if you thought the white corporations were going to let this go, no, they're not. It is a full court press. It is a bloody campaign, and they are going to be relentless with this. She lying, talking about a lot of the music we love today that's outside of Africa originated or had a root in African music, says Tina Davis, president of Empire, a digital media distribution company that works closely with a Grammy nominee Olamida's YBNL record label. Here's the problem with that statement. If the music that you love that came from outside of Africa, originated from Africa, then you all would be playing something that's straight from Africa that sounds the same, hits the same, does the same. You don't have anything that's even remotely close. Not even remotely close. You can't point to any type of African music that you can associate in that way. You can't do it. You can't do it. What we built over here came from over here. What you got over there, you're not even trying to use it now. What you're doing is bastardizing what we created and then just putting a little lemon sprinkle from yours on it, but you could take what you made out of it altogether and it would still be a hit song. You can't remove what you took from us, from your little bastardization and make it a hit song. If you could, you would be able to distill it down to its essence and it would still communicate and transport the same way, but it don't. When you play your music, it's completely foreign. When you isolate whatever your cultural influence is, it's foreign. It doesn't fit. That's the problem. It don't fit. So no, you're going to have to stop telling that lie. What came from outside of what you got in Africa today originated with us. What? Damn right. There's nothing that we got outside of Africa that we got from you. What you got in Africa today, that originated from us. You got the game from us. Take a look at the dress. Take a look at the dress, the style. It's a little, it is what it is. The dress, the style, this is a knockoff of us. There's nothing here that is traditional African. Take a look at this. Even wearing this phony knockoff Kango, there's nothing there. This is the militant style that came from us. This is the militant style that we created. There ain't nothing you got over there that we got from you. You picked up everything from the words to the jargon to the emphasis on bass to the skying of it to the emphasis on the melody. To the swag, even if it's sideways, you got all of that from us. All of that is from us. We sat y'all down in the studio and said, here, take your culture and bring it into the 21st century, and you couldn't move a step. You said, wait a minute, let me listen to them black folk over there in America first. Let me mix it. What's the recipe you're going to use? We're going to get some rap and some jazz and some funk and some soul. Well, I'll be damned. What you bringing? A little sprinkle of Igbo. I mean, well, hell, you could remove the Igbo altogether and everything's great. Yeah, but this our signature. It's okay. What you going to wear when you go on stage? Oh, you don't want me to tell you that one. What are you going to wear when you go on stage? You don't want. What traditional African outfit is that based on? When you go up on that stage with Selena Gomez, by the way, what traditional African outfit, traditional African style, traditional African dress code are you adhering to right now? Because it looks real familiar what you're wearing, but I'm like, never seen that over there. Your jeans ain't tight enough. No offense. No offense. Come on now, folks. The pants ain't tight enough. You know how y'all swag is. The pants are all tight. They're all U-shaped. Come on now. The pants are shaped like a horseshoe. No offense. No offense. No shade. No shade. If you folks don't stop trying to rewrite your history. Every time we do something here, folks want to rewrite their history. It's like, my history is not swaggy enough. Okay, well, look here. Just get with the program and get on our program. We get you straightened out here. As soon as they get some of us. And that's right. And I made this. Man, are you people are off your meds. 5-time Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo is one of the continent's greatest exports with 16 albums to her name. 16 albums. You should be the richest musician on the planet with 16 albums if they were hits. Folks, 16 albums? Even with I don't give a damn if she got a 720 deal. Damn a 360. I don't care if she got a 720 deal. 16 albums to her name. She ought to be a black female Bill Gates. With that many albums, ain't no way in the hell you... Boy, she should be rich as hell with 16 albums. Quote, the new generation of artists coming from Africa are going to take you by storm. And the time has come, the Beninese singer said in 2020, upon winning the Best World Music Album Grammy, a category since renamed. The storm also comes with the strength of Africa's numbers. The continent's young and culture-savvy 1.3 billion people will make up a quarter of the world's population by 2050. Nearly half of Africans who migrated from their countries of origin live in a different region, according to Pew Research, each taking African melodies and tunes along. No, they ain't took a damn thing. They over here stealing from us day and night. They're shoplifting from our culture day and night. Just call it what it is. And another thing here, do you notice this article keeps referring to them in a homogenous way? Did you notice that? They keep referring to them in a unified way. They keep referring to them as some great big collaborated group. They keep aggregating them all together. They're not referring to them by their regions in Africa. This article keeps repeatedly referring to them as one big aggregated group. Which when we talk to them, they're very quick to correct you about, no, here's a distinction, and I'm not from that group over there. These white folk are talking about them as one great big amorphous group. And they ain't gonna give no pushback to that. You know, the new generation of artists coming from Africa. So when they talk to white folk, they're African. When they talk to you and me, they're a member of whatever tribe they're from. Which is why I tell you all, when the white folks tell them, okay, it's time for y'all to get in line. Hell, they don't even have to really get them in line. They're already just sitting over there waiting for their marching orders. They're already just sitting back waiting for their marching orders. And it didn't take millions of dollars either. All it took was a Grammy. All it took was holding up a Grammy and they ready to march. They're ready to march. That's it. They're ready to flip the jollof off the damn stove. They're ready to put on some shoes. Point me to the nearest airport. What did he say? I'm not a member of no tribe. Don't you see Selena Gomez sitting over there? I'm a member of the Gomez tribe. I'm with her tribe. That's where I'm at. I'm with her tribe. So once again, the folks from outside the black society, man, they're causing fits for folk, man. They're causing difficulties. People are trying to co-opt them. People are trying to get them on the team. People are trying to get them pinned down. Folks are trying to use them to their advantage, but it's proven to be a tricky undertaking. It's proven to be a tricky undertaking for the folks who keep trying that right there, because they're finding out, boy, I'm telling you, this is going to be a rabble to get together here. This is going to be a rabble that you're going to try to organize. Boy, I'm telling you, you got your work cut out for you. Are you going to bring the illegals in, or are you going to export them or deport them? Are you going to let them go stay on the Indian reservation, or are you going to go run them all out for human trafficking? Are you going to give them a record deal, or are you going to try to make them $40 million slaves? It's going to be hard to get this going. It's going to be tough to make that happen. I know you're wishing it'll be easy, but it's going to be tough. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. And as always, you are all welcome to join us. So you can definitely go ahead and give us a phone call. You can definitely go ahead and give us a call. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, Angela, Andrew, everybody else here, Gary, Frank, thank you very much for your support here. We're doing a nice program here to talk about how folks are divided on this. The folks who are not black folk, the buffer classes here, the would-be, boy, I'm telling you, it's dividing everybody else. They don't know what to do. They have to make a whole new Grammy category because they're trying to figure out how do we co-opt these people. They're making an entire new Grammy category for African music because they're like, what they are doing, I'm letting you all know, they're throwing up the white flag of surrender. They are throwing up the flag of surrender. They are telling everybody, we are officially giving up on the idea that we're going to be able to fully co-opt rap and hip hop the way we want to. We've been trying to work it. We've been trying to hijack it. We've been trying to take it over. It ain't working. So we're going to see if we can invent something else. We're going to see if we can create an insurgency. Hey, if those Negroes in America could do it, well, we'll just go pick up some new ones over there in Africa. I mean, aren't they all the same? And what they're going to find out is, no, it don't really work that way. It really doesn't work that way. You can't just sit up here and go find some dark-skinned folks. And the way we go, let's just keep it real, people. When was the last time Akon had something popping without some of us sitting next to him? Let's just keep it real now. Come on. Come on. Tell me, when was the last time Akon actually had something popping without the Descendants sitting next to him? Something he had popping all on his own. Let's just keep it real. He been floating off of Snoop Dogg and I Want to Love You now for 20 years. Convict Music, he been floating on that for 20 years. Show me what he didn't have popping recently. I didn't say he hasn't invested his money well, Lady Gaga and whatnot, but show me where he got it popping on his own anytime recently there. Come on. Show me where he's done that independently. Watch, you're going to have some of the outsiders jump up. You listen here, Akata. He has been working on Akon City now for 10 years. He is very busy. All right. Let's go ahead and get over here to the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Denise from San Francisco.
Denise from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm not surprised at any of this, and I want to say thank you for saying all this, okay? Now, San Francisco is a diverse city, and I've been an activist in many things since the 80s. And over the years, these other non-black people of color and Jews, I've noticed all kind of selfish, bigotry, fickle behavior that made me totally back away from them. And when they have problems, I make sure I don't get involved. I give them any kind of story. I don't care whether they believe my story, whatever. I move on, okay? Now, when I saw that Jewish man up there rapping and raving all about that Palestinian stuff, I said, I give that man 3 months, and he's going to be in another direction. It's going to be a selfish bigotry direction, okay? And he didn't even hold out no 3 months. About a month later, he's up there screaming about the migrant crisis. They're no longer migrants. They're illegals that are dangerous and all that. I said, yep, that's them. Bigotry, selfish, fickle, okay? The only thing that surprised me out of that Native American guy that she started off with was there used to be a Native American nationalist in this country, and he over here, in San Francisco, and he said he didn't like those people south of the border. He said they were sellouts and spoke Spanish, they're not native to this land, and they're not Native American Indians. And to see that Native American man with all that fickle behavior, I said, good grief. And then as far as all these Afro-Caribbean folks, I have never been able to get nothing going with them and keep it going. They're too selfish and fickle. To give you a good example, they're always here trying to ride off our coattails, talk down about us privately, and then just as soon as something happens, we should be jumping out. We're all in this together. And I'm telling myself, as years went by, I said, I've heard that a couple of times. I ain't getting involved in their stuff. At this point, I'm not surprised to see that young black musician from Africa. He's standing up there in some African clothes, grinning. And he hasn't made anything original. He's not dressing original. But he'll line up with all these other clowns who are just using him. These people think they can dance with the devil indefinitely and never get burned. But karma's kicking in real, and they going to see it. And I'm not getting involved.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. You know, I'm going to tell you one more thing as far as these other folks here. Mark my words, people, right now, they're trying to prop them up because they need the help. But mark my words, you're going to hear them eventually start talking about Afro beats the way they talk about disco. They're going to be calling it a fad when they realize it doesn't really hook in there like they wanted to. They're going to be calling it a fad. Or they're going to just refer to it as like world music, and they're going to bring in some white folk. It's going to be one of those two things. If they're not able to turn it into something valuable and be able to get some white folk to take it over, I'm serious. You will have a white woman who's going to claim to be an African. You're going to have a white woman who's going to be the face of Afro beats and Amapiano. They just want to see if they can get it mature enough to be a challenger to what we do. And then you're going to see, they're going to bring in a white Iggy Azalea. They're going to bring in a white Iggy Azalea. Iggy Ethiopia. Whatever. They're going to bring in an Iggy Kenya. And next thing you know, they're going to be like, this is the face of Afro beats. It is inclusive and diverse. This is the face of Afro beats. We are a diverse people. The continent of Africa is a rich and diverse place. Next thing you know, there have always been white people here on the continent of Africa. We've always been here. What? Don't y'all see what the argument's about to be? Why, we've always been here. Mark my words, it's gonna be a white chick with some babies by a dude looking like Seal. I'm serious. They're gonna get some white chick over there who's gonna claim that she was born in Rwanda or something, born in South Africa. She's gonna be one of them Afrikaners' daughters. She gonna have 2 or 3 kids by a dude who looks like Seal. And then she's gonna claim she's gonna sit up here making a bunch of music. Watch. Call from area code 469. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Thomas calling from Dallas, Texas.
Thomas from Dallas, what's on your mind?
Yeah, she's going to be the equivalent of Eminem of Africa when it's all said and done. And what people don't realize, man, Afro beats, if you really do the history on it, it was created in America and imported back into Africa.
Correct.
All our music from jazz, funk, bebop, R&B came off the plantations. And the reason why they call it soul music, because it came from the soul of FBA. I mean, you can't do soul music, man, and be from another country. You gotta, when we produce the music, it comes from our soul. So when you try to steal it, that's why it sounds like a generic version of what we did. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
I mean, but it goes
no
further
other
than that,
culture can
Doc.
do it like we can.
It goes further than that. There's a reason for that. Because you said it comes from our soul. But understand
Right.
what that really means, because soul is, let's be honest, soul is a intangible term. What are we really saying? It comes from our experience. That's the difference. It comes from our experience. You see, here's the reason why The newcomers here, no offense, but understand you all being co-opted and used by these outside forces and sitting up here laughing and grinning as if it's to your benefit, and it's not. We are unique because when I can show you, in my case, when I can see pictures of my great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother, and we can show you the cotton fields, and we can show you the wheat fields, and we can show you where we came from when we first started buying property in this country. When we can show you this, those people look like me. I can look at them and I can see my features. You can obviously see in some cases we look like reincarnations of them. We're not just random people where we have a similar skin tone. I'm looking at them with someone who looks like Jason standing in those fields. Someone looked like Jason standing in front of that house. Someone who looks like Thomas standing in front of those fields. Someone looks like Thomas standing in front of that tree. And that's your bloodline. So you see, that's not just tying you to a feeling. That's tying you to the soil. That's tying you to that experience because you know that you are the culmination of whatever happened in that field. You are the culmination of whatever has happened to those people. That's your specific bloodline, your specific look. You're the culmination of that. And that's a big difference. So some newcomer coming here, they're not able to do that, man. They're not able to do that. It's a whole different experience for them. They're watching it as outsiders looking at us. We're talking about not even from the inside out. We're talking about what we lived.
And Jason, if you notice, it's the same way with the movie industry. When them actors come from them different countries and try to play Rosa Parks or one of our heroes, it looks weird. They don't have this, you know what I mean? It's what you explained. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. When, like you said, when Malcolm X, when Denzel Washington played Malcolm X, man, he poured his soul out into that movie. I mean, you thought you was really looking at Malcolm X when you watched that movie. You know, when they come from overseas, they can't do it like we do it from the soil. So yeah, I mean, it looks weird when other cultures try to play us. They can't do it.
I mean, but they're quick to tell you can't play them. Now they're quick. As soon as you try to sit up here and emulate theirs, they'll be quick to stop you and say, "Oh, you're not legit." They're quick to do that right there. But then when they show up right now with their carpet bagging, all of a sudden it's legit. No, we're not going for it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now let me get called from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens.
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. So I'm glad you brought up the Burna Boy, you know, all the African music. You know, I think a lot of the Amapiano and some of the the Afro beats that they got. I think some of it is good, you know. But if you look at Burna Boy, for example, you know, he samples a lot of FBA artists, right? Like he samples Tony Braxton. He samples who else did he sample? Brandy, Sitting on Top of the World. You know, so it's like, okay, cool. You paid homage. You know what I mean? Now tell your people to do so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the way it's always been. Everything here, when you talk about Afro beats, Amapiano, all of these are just not even deep bastardizations. They're just slight tweaks on what we've already done. Hip hop, R&B, jazz. These folks are sitting up here telling you they're not going back when the things that they're naming, they're not going back to their cultural roots. They're going back to ours of just the last 60 years. They're not digging through the crates of their culture and pulling out something unique. They're digging through our crates. There's not even different ones, the same ones we've been in. There's not anything new going on here. That's the problem. So for someone to try to sit up here and take our culture, steal it, repackage it, and then sell it to us and claim that it's brand new, excuse me, you're going to need a better con job than that.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. You know, I mean, I mean, basically this generation is so used to remixes. It's like everything is sampled from the 90s or early 2000s now. So it's like there's no more creativity. You know what I mean? But I'll land my plane there, B1.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Call of America 773. Last try. You're on live. Okay. Call of America 773 has been abducted. Now, let me be very, very clear about something right here. This is not about whether or not they want to make music or anything like that. They can make all the music they want to and whatnot. They can even go ahead and plug into the style. After all, we are the foundation upon which everyone else draws from. But when you try this propagandistic lie of saying that we got it from you, so we're the one built you, you got everything you got from us, and as soon as you get on, then you're going to sit up here and resort to the absolute disingenuous fraud of trying to say we got it from you? So you feel so bad about the way in which things have happened here that you're sitting up here saying that we got it from you? We built that, and you feel so self-conscious because you haven't got anything that you made. You can't just go ahead and say, hey, them fellas built something great over there. Now, they'll do that with the white folks with no problem. Now, with the white folks, they won't argue with the white folks. As a matter of fact, they'll try to outwhite the white folks. We show up and all of a sudden, everything we built and that you are sitting up here lifting and ripping off, all of a sudden, well, we did this. When we ask you, okay, what part did you make on your own? Well, you hear that little ting sound, ting. See that's us right there. What part? Ting. There it was again. Really? Let me explain to y'all something about greatness here, okay? Let me explain something to you here. As a musician, now let's put the bull crap to the side. As a musician, let me explain to you why it is that these things are empty and hollow. Let me explain to you the essence of it. Do you know how you can get down to the essence of a music form? It's called a cappella. You see, when you remove all of the instrumentation, and I tell you, okay, does your music form stand on its own? Merely as a vocalization, can you do that on its own? Everybody else start falling off to the wayside. If you're a weak imitation, it's going to fall to the wayside. When I sit here and say, okay, can you sing this a cappella? And then when it came to the world of rap, we can rap that a cappella. We don't have to have the instrumentation, the backup singers. We can just sit there and throw it just like it is. We can sit there and throw it with vocals alone. We don't have to have no beat. We called it rapping because in reality, rap didn't require, for the folks who want to lie to this damn day, it didn't really require the speakers. By definition, the genre of battle rap doesn't really allow instrumentation. By definition, it can't. Freestyle rap doesn't really allow instrumentation. By definition, it can't. These other folks here, oh no, they need the whole damn ensemble. That's how you know what you doing is a ripoff. Ours is a unique expression, but it's not just unique. It has its wholeness and its integrity. You can sit us in front of a microphone from LL Cool J to anybody else you can name. And when you start doing the a cappella, you see that. We don't consider you to be a great rapper without it. If we can't just you with the vocals alone, you're not legitimate. It's a requirement. Same thing with our singers. With our singers throughout time, from Ella Fitzgerald, I'm talking about the goddesses of state, to Lena Horne, to Beyonce. Everybody knows you are not legitimate until you demonstrate that you can sing a cappella and that you can light it up just like that. Whitney Houston set the damn world on fire. Her rendition of the national anthem, and they've been trying to Mayo remix it ever damn since, and they ain't made an inch of progress. That's what happens when you have something in its integrity and its wholeness. Our music forms have their complete integrity and wholeness to the extent that you can distill it down to its bare bones, and it's right there. That the instrumentation merely adds to what it is, but it isn't an essential element that the music will break without it. Even more recently, I'm gonna go there. When you got Mace doing his acapella freestyle dissing Diddy. I know it's a sore subject for Diddy, but Diddy, you brought it on yourself. Once again, he got the folks spellbound. Did they know it was coming? No. Did he throw it down? Yes. And that is just merely an alliteration and continuation of what we've always done. Always. So, folks, if you want the measurement of whether or not a music genre has its integrity, I submit to you that a cappella is one of the best measurements of that genre's integrity you can find or can use. You have a whole song. Let me go ahead and pull out just the vocals. Can you do this just by yourself singing? When we call it soul music. When we grab the microphone and that's it, here we go. No disrespect, Raggae can't do that. Oh, I'm getting in trouble right now. No disrespect, Raggae can't do that. I'm just saying, let's just say it like it is. We are the people who turned the human voice into an instrument. Even in the case of opera music. I mean, Pavarotti and them, don't get me wrong. These were talented people in their genres. I get it. No disrespect, but let's just say it like it is. When we showed up, that was a wrap. Because you didn't have people just sitting up here, lilting and soprano of the voice. We were the first people who showed you how to use the human voice as its own independent instrument. Which is where when folks talking about we souling with that alliteration we do, with going up and down, Aaron Hall and all the rest of these folk here, that's using the human voice as an instrument. Going back to Little Richard and way before that, we understood, well, I'm not just singing. That's like a guitar solo. And by the way, we created those. But that's like a guitar solo. In the blues clubs, it was the brothers playing their blues guitars that taught the world how to do a guitar solo. Breaking the guitar off on its own into its own independent solo instrument within the song or outside of it. That is integrity. That you could shut down all the other instruments and dude can sit there and just throw it. B.B. King could just sit there and throw it by itself on its own. George Benson could sit there and throw it by itself on its own. Najee, George Howard could sit there on the sax and throw it by itself on its own. Don't need no other instrumentation. And then here comes Kenny G 10, 20, 30 years later, and y'all acting like he's invented water. Kenny G just doing what we've been doing the whole damn time, but when the white boy shows up and does it, all of a sudden you act like he's invented something. And there's nothing he's doing that we weren't already doing there before. The white dude show, okay, put some money behind it so you can drag y'all out. All you got to do is give us an audience and a place to stand, and we will show you what music is. You ain't never did nothing to us by turning off the damn microphones. And let me go a little bit further with it. You got young black folk here. When you're talking about stomping, it's like, hell, we don't even need a drum kit for this. No, we really don't. No, we really don't. And no, you're not going to be able to really Africanize that neither, by the way. No, you really won't be able to. Truth be told, you really won't be able to. Don't try that one. That's going to get ugly for you real quick. We've always understood that we are the instrument. We've always understood that's how it goes. You take Afro beats and try to acapella that. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. It ain't gonna go nearly as nice as you tell yourself it will. Everybody gonna start falling off. Everybody gonna start going to sleep. Everybody gonna start getting bored. Oh man, this ain't working. Caller from area code 941. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, it's the big gun. And yes, sir.
Okay, brother, you called in last night. One call per weekend. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. One call per weekend, folks. One call per weekend. We're on 2 nights of the weekend, but one call per weekend. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 279. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is T-Hawk out of San Bernardino.
All right, T-Hawk out of San Bernardino. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to say, man, I can't help but notice or even think that, this whole apparatus of white supremacy and their economical apartheid has, because they can just throw shit out there and try stuff and then, it sticks to the wall. Niggas and these Africans, they all gravitate to it, real coonery, buffoonery type shit. This is this is the kind of thing that happens with our culture. Is we got a bunch of these bootlicks and we got a bunch of our own people who subscribe to this behavior, and it's really cowardice is what it is, because they get in front of white folks, they show all 32 teeth, but when it comes to paying homage to where things came from, and so everyone comes over here with that same sentiment, is treat these niggas like slaves, like the slaves that they are, because we are still slaves and we're still being fleeced. We haven't been paid reparation. We don't control or own a damn thing. So why wouldn't these people from wherever the hell they're at in the globe or on the continent, why wouldn't they come here and treat us and do us with all manner of disrespect?
Well, definitely discipline is going to be a core part of that. But in addressing what you're saying there at the beginning, this is what cultural warfare looks like. We are under a constant siege. They're switching vehicles, they're switching tactics to a certain degree, but the cultural war is on, because if you can erase people's culture, it makes it a whole lot easier to erase them. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller area code 805. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Big Brother Jason. This is Brother Elijah calling out of Istanbul, Turkey.
Istanbul, Turkey. What the hell are you doing over there, brother? Are you on the run from the law?
No, brother. No, we gotta fix this FBA hairline a little bit. That's what
I'm about to say. Well, you cutting hair in Istanbul? Right, I'll be damned. All right, what's on your mind, brother?
No. No, big brother. I got two questions. With that whole Native American nonsense that's going on in South Dakota, I'm trying to make sense out of this. We understand that if they want to call themselves sovereign, but they really don't have no power over there. They're relatively just insignificant. They're just a tribe within a state. I could be wrong, brother, but they don't really have any significance over there in the state of South Dakota that Governor Christine Noem has to respect or anything like that.
What they're saying is that we want your money, and then when we're in need, we want your money, and then after you give us the money, we're a sovereign nation. That's the way that game is being played. Give us the money because we need you, and then as soon as they give them the money, okay, we're a sovereign nation. Don't tell us what to do with the money. So that's how you know the money's getting stolen and getting misused and bribes and everything else.
Yes, sir. And I got another question. I was reading about some stuff pertaining to this Afro beats. After looking at what's going on with the Afro beats, they're trying to. I think they're at the.
Okay, Brother Elijah is taking care of FBA business over there in Istanbul. I'm trying to figure out how in the world that even works. But what FBA business we got in Istanbul? Somebody explain that to me. His phone call got dropped there, so I hope Bin Laden and the boys didn't get him. Let me get caller from area code 229. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, brother. This is Rod from Randolph.
Rob from Valdosta, what's on your mind?
Speaking on what you said on the music, like our voice, we use an instrument. I know you remember ham bone. What we used to call ham bone. When we used to beat on our body, on our chest, on our legs. And, the things that we come up with, we're so creative that, they can't help but to copy us or bite us and try to steal it. But yeah, I just I just thought about that ham bone thing. When, they used to do that back in the day. When you mentioned our voice as an instrument.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Those were things we had to rely on. So that kind of ingenuity is what we had to come up with. And once again, you can't say we got it from somewhere else, because remember, the first order of business for the slave plantations for generations, not for a dozen years, hundreds of years, was that you had to be divorced from wherever you came from. Nobody was educating you about where you came from in Africa, what tribe or anything like that. Any knowledge of that pretty much disappeared within the second generation. They were selling people off and sending them everything else. So it's not like there was some continuity of information about, quote unquote, where you came from. It's not like that was what was going on. You didn't have anybody else to teach you that. So by the time we get a couple of generations down, you're basically relying on whatever you've made over here. And that's what you have. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. So we came up with new things out of necessity. We were deprived of anything else. So we are the product of what happens when you've been deprived of anything else, and yet you still have the desire to express yourself. Call from area code 925. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Be Easy calling out of Oakland.
All right, Be Easy out of Oakland. What's on your mind?
Excellent broadcast as usual. I just got a couple quick questions about the Grammys, about the developments. Did you see that Killer Mike had won 3 Grammys and then he ended up getting arrested for, they said, an unrelated misdemeanor, an unspecified misdemeanor unrelated to the event? Do you?
Okay, well, I've been hosting the program, so I didn't get to see that. I've been hosting the program here tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, at this point right now, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they came up in place with a SWAT team, if a black person winning a Grammy. So that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, they had an excessive amount of officers, but it tied into what you were saying. I was just wondering, because it seems carefully planned that he won the Grammys and then suddenly an unspecified misdemeanor that they arrested him. And then there apparently was another gaffe, too, where they tweeted out that Nicki Minaj had won an award, and then they was like, oops, my bad, you really didn't win the award. So it's just a lot of shenanigans going on at the Grammys. But as far as the sovereignty in the Native Americans, I just want to pose like some rhetorical questions and then have you expound on them, and I'll land with that. So since they're advocating for these open borders and saying all of these illegals are indigenous, did any of those tribal leaders on the reservations talk about how much they were going to allocate land and resources and open up there instead of Abbott? Are they saying, don't bus them to Chicago, this is going to be a sanctuary reservation? Are any of them saying that? I'll land with that. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. No, what you got going on over there right now is some shady business. That's what you got going on. So I submit to you all that what's happening with some of these reservations here is basically this is it. They're trying to be you got criminal gangs who have taken over the reservations. These reservations are starting to turn into organized crime. That's what's going on. They're starting to turn to organized crime. By the way, you notice that big medallion he's got in the middle of the thing, there's this United States. So what I'm thinking is you got some of these reservations who are just committing to organized crime. And they're like, okay, we're a sovereign state. So we started with the casinos. We started with the casinos, and now let's see if we can move into some human trafficking and running drugs and everything else. So, in my opinion, that's what you see cultivating and forming. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, caller from 646 has been abducted. Caller from area code 480. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is the Aboriginal Truth Seeker. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
All right, Aboriginal from Phoenix. What's on your mind?
Well, I hear you guys. I know this just came up, but I hear you guys talking about the Native Americans. They're not really they're not really the true Americans. That would be us, the Black Americans. If you notice, everything that we create, the entire world gets to how I want to say this. They get to benefit from it. It's everything from music to inventions. We created the computer, the cell phones, the toilets, the car. Everything has been created by us, and then they tell us that we're from Africa when we're not. Because they're totally different people than we are. That's what I truly know in my heart after doing my own genealogy. I have not found an African in my bloodline, my personal bloodline. I have not found an African. And I believe if we all just take the time and do our genealogy, forget about those DNA tests, because those DNA tests will only send you back to
Okay, well, brother, here's the problem. Here is the problem with attempting to play the, quote, Native American card. The problem with that is right now, at best, now here's the best case scenario that you can identify. Your best case scenario is you're going to find that basically a common ancestor or a common point of origin. As long as these other folks can point to some sort of connection before Columbus, that's what you're going to be up there fighting against. There's the issue with that, is as long as they can show that, they're going to be able to graft themselves onto whatever legitimacy you would try to claim at that point. Right now, as Black folk here trying to claim a native status or original status in that regard, we've been delegitimized in that regard because the government's like, well, we say so. So, yeah, right now, as far as what you're saying, genealogy and whatnot, that stops at the courthouse door, because it's really only a matter of can you impose that? When you talk about the original people with their reservations, they're the only ones who've been given any. Does that make sense?
And that does make sense. But if we all stand together and stop trying to say that we're from another continent, giving up our natural birthright, we could actually achieve the things that we're trying to achieve. Because if you notice, now next they're going to be saying that, R&B started out in Africa.
Right, but my thing though is that my thing is we don't have a leg to stand on with we're the real Native Americans thing. That's not going to be something you can stand on. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You got too many other folk here who their claims, even if they are specious, their argument is simply going to be if they can prove some sort of presence here before Columbus, then they're going to claim, okay, that legitimizes us as, quote, the original people there. And then the rest of you are just bystanders, or you were also here. So the point isn't whether or not we were here, or even if we were here first. The real point is going to be, can these other folks make any type of claim, no matter how tangential, that they were here before Columbus? And if they can, then that's it. Now you're sitting, at best, you're trying to sit in the same boat with them. In which case, now they're like, yep, that's right, you're in the same boat with us, and we're voting you out. Let me get caller from area code 954. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. JB. This is Derek calling from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Derek from West Palm Beach. What's on your mind?
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I got turned on to you about 2 years ago, listening to you at work. Keep doing what you're doing, and I support you 1,000%. B1.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me get another call. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Sean calling from Austin, Illinois.
All right, Sean from Austin, Illinois. What's on your mind?
Yes. What a great topic today. I was thinking that they was trying to gather all the Africans together and finesse them to go under one umbrella so they can lure all their votes, to lure all the votes for the elections. That's what I'm thinking. If the Caucasian people accept the Africans under one umbrella, they're going to try to tell them who to vote for so they can win. That's my only thought.
Well, here's the thing. They're not going to tell them who to vote for necessarily because they already do that. They're going to tell them what to believe. They're going to tell them what to believe, which is really where the battleground is here going forward. If you're going to take over a culture, you really want to tell them what to think. So who to vote for, you already control the puppet governments. Now we want to tell you who you are as a people. We already told you who you were for the last 500 years. Now we want to co-opt and tell you who you're going to be for the next 500. So they're already doing the math. You got 1.3 billion people in Africa. Here is the game. And I want you all to understand exactly how this works. Let me see if I can distill this down and give it to you in a form and in a manner where it will really resonate with you here. You want to have, ideally, what you want to do is have a continent of people who think of themselves as black, think of themselves as African, but behave and believe as white people. So they will sit there and sing their, quote, traditional music, traditional songs. You can have all of that. But when you come around us, you will act and comport yourselves as honorary white people. And when you've done that, that's colonization. Now, if you can do this for the next 500 years, we have an artificial situation, an artificial economic strangulation that's happened where basically the European powers and colonial powers have made the decision to cultivate and to develop the entire rest of the world and to save Africa's cultivation for last. But there's going to be something devious in that regard because you see, there is no united African government. There's a united Asian government. I mean, you got China, which is huge. Japan that was already co-opted, and Korea, which is a ward state. Then you got Russia out there. Can't really call shots to them on those people like you would like to. Then there's India and Pakistan, large populations. And you got some economic ties, but calling shots is harder than it would be. But you're dealing with large pieces of land. In Africa, you're dealing with the largest piece of land, but they're divided among dozens of countries. And because of that, they're not working together in the united way so that a large piece of this land mass or geography is being used to fight them. So that's the difference. So for the next 500 years, you'll be developing Africa over that time, but they're already divided up. Well, then, Jason, what's the whole point of this Grammy and Afrobeats and things like that? You'll get them to think of themselves as one people. They will be economically, but more importantly, socially non-threatening while you're doing all these things. So all these non-African folk are going to show up from Asia and Russia and North America and everything else. They're making all these investments. You're going to sit there going along, dancing, smiling, cultivating the wealth. And when they get done, they're going to march off with it like they have with everything else. And you'll be smiling the whole time while they do it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Rob from Prince George's County, Maryland.
Okay, Rob from Prince George's County. What's on your mind?
Great broadcast tonight, Jay. This is my first time calling in. I had a bunch of thoughts, but the one that just stood out to me most recently was Killer Mike getting arrested right after his Grammy wins. And the thought that popped in my mind was he was just on Bill Maher's show where Bill Maher asked him repeatedly to endorse Biden, and Killer Mike wouldn't do it. And there could be, in my mind, there's a correlation that now he's getting arrested because essentially he's like a black man not going along with what Master wants him to say.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not really doing my program tonight about Killer Mike, and here's the reason. We don't know what's going on. So for everyone here who's tuning in and stuff, we're talking about Grammy-related stuff for the Africans, but I wasn't bringing up Killer Mike because we don't know what's going on. So that's why it's not a topic of discussion. It's just happened. We don't have any context. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what the reason is. You don't have any details. So I am going to admonish everyone, don't speculate. Don't speculate. Find out some more details. Get a statement from Killer Mike or his people or whatever. Find out what's actually going on before making any sort of comments, because if these are not folks that we can vouch for in that way, let's find out what's going on. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I know Mike, when he's talking to some folks there, like I say, sometimes he goes one way, other times he goes another way. So as far as I'm concerned, I would need to get a lot. I'm not talking about Killer Mike getting arrested tonight. I'm not talking about that. We don't have any information on it. We don't know what's going on. So I'm not bringing it up as a topic of discussion. We had a caller call in and say something. I'm letting you know right now. I'm not talking about it because we don't have any details. We don't know what's going on. We don't know. All you know is, well, he got arrested and they're talking about some unrelated misdemeanor. We don't even know what they mean. So let's not speculate. I know in the internet age, everybody likes to jump in front of things and, oh, here's the reason why for it. And everybody wants things to be instantaneous. No, get some facts and then comment. Get some facts and then comment. We're doing our program here tonight. We've been focusing on a number of different things, especially what's going on here forward, where the illegals are concerned. They're dividing non-black society. And you see the divisions going on around the place. And I'm showing you here tonight where it can be used for good, or you can be used constructively or deconstructively. So keep that in mind. This is not an anomaly. This is standard operating procedure. This is standard operating procedure going forward. The same thing that we've seen before. They're just expanding the operatives here in real time, but it's not some unique strategy. It's the same thing you've been seeing. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. One last thing before I head out here tonight. Keep your eyes on us here on the Black Channel in the very near future. Don't be surprised if I surprise you. As a matter of fact, don't be surprised if I blow you away. You've been warned. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future and the future is uncompromised.